Today we got to preview NFL Week 13 on this edition of the Shumake Take. Let's get it. All right, and welcome in everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day, guys. My name is Garrett Shumake, and you are listening to the Shumake Take. This is episode number 26, and today we got to recap Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and preview, NFL Week 13. You know the drill is how it's been going on all season long. Before we begin, though, got a little bit of housekeeping to start with. Got the Tampa Bay Rays hat going today. Got the trumpet T-shirt going on. I don't know if you can really tell, but it is a trumpet. If you guys don't know, I'm a big guy in music. I'm not big in music. I'm a big guy. I love music a lot. I played trumpet for 7 years, all through middle school and high school. I marched in marching band throughout my high school career, and I also played a bunch of other instruments. Maybe not a bunch, but I played a little bit of trombone, played French horn. I could play the cello a little bit, and so I was a versatile guy. But I was a band kid when I was in high school, and that's where this shirt comes in. And over here, you can't see it, but I have my own trumpet and my own French horn sitting right here. Got my trumpet, but I started my high school career when I was a freshman, before I started my freshman year, and then I got my French horn about 3-4 years ago. I was in a little town called Ellijay, Georgia. My cousin was getting married, and we stopped at a little flea market in there, and boom, found that bad boy sitting there, and for $100, snagged him, and he's been mine ever since. And other than that, there's a new sentimental object here today. It's a photograph of me and my best friend PJ. As you can tell, we are little kids in this image, and we are dressed as Optimus Prime. He is, and then I'm dressed as Bumblebee. And by the way, if you guys have not seen the new Transformers 1 movie, the current one that's out right now, you need to watch it. It is a origin story done right. The characters are deep. They are complex. Their motivations are complex. It starts off a little cheeky. It starts off kind of like a kid's movie, but it really turns into a thick, deep, compelling, thorough story throughout the rest of the movie. It's absolutely incredible. It's my favorite Transformers movie of all time, and I'm not saying that because I'm a big Transformers fan. I am, so there's a little bit of bias there, but it is genuinely a really good movie. If you want to go see a good animated film that's beautiful, that is actually, story-wise really good, because a lot of animated movies recently, at least in my opinion, don't have the best stories. This one is for you. I really recommend go watching it in the theaters. If you can't watch it in the theaters, watch it on Paramount Plus. It is really, really, really good. But we got to talk about Sunday Night Football. I was talking about it, not talking about it, but I was following it during last episode 25. And if you guys didn't, well, you guys already know this now, but the Eagles defeated the LA Rams 37-20. Eagles absolutely dominated LA, moving their win streak to 7 games, making them for sure the hottest team in the NFL. I'm going to scoot up, get a little bit closer here while we begin our discussion. I'm going to start off with some stats. Ready for some numbers here? Listen up, guys. The Eagles, well, if my script over here wouldn't fall over on me, that would be fantastic. But here's some stats for you. 45 rushing attempts, 314 rushing yards, in totality on offense, 7.1 yards per play. How does that happen? How do you get such a dominant game on the ground? Well, I'll tell you why. Saquon Barkley, 26 carries, a career high 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9.8 yards per carry. Add on 4 catches, 47 yards, 302 total yards of offense. He had like 46 to 48 fantasy points if you're into that, which if you had picked him up or he's on your team, whatever, he probably won your league this week for week 12. And Saquon Barkley, in my opinion, he has to be in the MVP conversation. At this point, there's no denying that he has to be in this conversation because he right now is carrying this Eagles offense. And I don't mean that because the Eagles offense is bad outside of him. That is not it at all. But Saquon Barkley is having, not even just a career year. At this point, if you don't even want to consider him from MVP, like I think you should, he's definitely right now, undoubtedly, the favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year. No player, not even, other top running backs in the NFL are doing what he is doing right now. He is having one heck of a dominant season. And on the Sunday night broadcast, Mike Tirico, the play-by-play announcer, couldn't have said it better than anybody else. On the final fourth quarter touchdown run to give them 37 points. What a run, what a player, what a season, something along the lines of that. But what a player, what a season was definitely in there. But, oh my goodness, Saquon Barkley went nuts in this game. But it wasn't just Saquon Barkley that went nuts in this game. Kenneth Gainwell had a big touchdown run there in the second half. I was able to catch it right before I cut off to go record episode 25. And he found a hole, stumbled a little bit. The defender tried to bait. And as he went down, the defender went down and make a tackle. He got back up, recovered, and ran for a touchdown. That was huge. They put them up by 2 scores at the point in time. Jalen Hurts ran the ball 12 times. Didn't get very many yards off of it, but he was moving. I would say he was moving the chains, but he was getting solid yards and helping the offense set up in second down and short, third down and short. The offense was managed very, very well. But you can't talk about Saquon Barkley and his great night, along with a great night overall, rushing for the Philadelphia Eagles without, shouting out their offensive line. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, and then Lane Johnson. Those are the 5 guys that are the unsung heroes of this football game. And obviously, Lane Johnson, oh my God, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, all these guys, those are great NFL players. There's no doubt about it. Cam Jurgens, he's a really good player in his own right. But I wanted to give a quick personal shout out to Mekhi Becton. He was a former first-round pick for the New York Jets. Had a really, really good rookie year, in my opinion, playing at left tackle for them. And then got hurt, and missed a whole bunch of games. And then when he came back, he was kind of iffy. They let him go. He goes to Philly. I thought he was going to be a backup tackle. No, they slot him into the right guard, and he has been great. In my opinion, at least, he has been great for them. He is a bully in the run game. In the pass game, he holds his own very, very well. And I'm very I'm losing my train of thought for a second. I was looking at my script and kind of got lost. But I'm really happy for Mekhi Becton because I thought he had a lot of potential coming out of college. Obviously he's like 6'8", 330 pounds. He is a big, big human being. And to see him constantly get hurt and not put it together after what was a very promising rookie year was very upsetting. And especially for Jets fans, and you see how well he's doing over in Philly. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you had that guy. Just could not get him healthy. And, hey, you're not the only New York team that's upset that a Philly player over there is doing well on their offensive side of the ball. Ask the Giants with Saquon Barkley. That was so stupid. Either way, Mekhi Becton, he's been a very, very surprising, very pleasing addition for the Eagles' offensive line. The rest of the offensive line over there is really, really good in their own right. But as a unit, they're one of the best in football, if not the best. They are just incredible. I love just the schemes that they run, how they execute. They're all big, powerful, physical, will-imposing. That right there is that's the premier offensive line that you want in the National Football League. But you got to credit the passing game. You got to credit Jalen Hurts, who had only 179 yards and a touchdown. But here's the deal. He was very, very efficient in this game. A.J. Brown, 6 catches, 109 yards, a touchdown. He did his thing like he does every single week, it feels like. And outside of him, there were really only 3 other players caught a pass. Saquon Barkley caught 4 passes, as we talked about. Dallas Goedert caught a couple, and then I can't remember who it was. I can't remember what his name was, but he had a 15-yard catch in this game. Shout out to that guy good for him for making that play. But as we've seen, we're going to talk about this with Baltimore too later on in the episode, but running the football is such a huge thing for Philly. And, it's not just that Jalen Hurts didn't do well. Like I said, he played very efficient ball. It's that when something is going so well for Saquon Barkley and this offensive line running the football, Jalen Hurts, it makes it so much easier to play quarterback. I've talked about it multiple times throughout the season with how important running backs are, elite running backs are to an offense, but I'm not going to repeat myself too much. I just kind of burped a little bit. Excuse me. Sorry. But here's the thing. Running the football makes it so much easier for quarterbacks to do what they need to do. Because with all these defenders trying to load up the box or stop the run, it makes passing so much easier. Players are getting a lot more open. And that's why he was 15 of 22. I don't know what the percentage is off the top of my head. 70, that would be 70%. Like, it's in the high 60s, like 68, 69%. At least that math seems right. I'm guessing. I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm no mathematician. I'm a football podcaster, right? But he had a solid performance. He was really good. A.J. Brown, like I said, all very, very good. I almost said all right. What am I talking about? And defensively, they got 5 sacks. Shout out to defensive tackle Milton Williams, the third string guy. He got 2 sacks. They're in that rotation is he the third string guy? Is Jordan Davis? Yeah, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and then it's Milton Williams. But yeah, he's in that rotation. He got 2 sacks tonight. Good for him. Brandon Graham, he got a sack tonight. The ageless wonder for Philly is still going on. The sack that he got was incredible. He beat the right tackle. He just smoked him. Tried to throw his hands up, immediately batted his hands down, ripped through, and just ran straight at Matthew Stafford in his blind side, and bam, smacked him down. Incredible play from the veteran. And for Philly's defense, while their secondary, they allowed a couple plays here and there, when it came to when it got close, when the Rams tried to convert, they really didn't get all that much. And for the Rams, they didn't have a necessarily bad night offensively. Stafford had 243 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 16 for 72. He had a good night. He's been inconsistent, but he was good that night on Sunday night. Puka Nacua, 9 catches for 117 yards. Cooper Kupp, 8 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Braden Fisk got the rookie defensive tackle out of FSU for the Rams, got a huge sack. He's a contender for Defensive Rookie of the Year right now, in my opinion. And I talked about it with the Rams. When you have all pieces of their offense coming together consistently, that's when they win football games. They haven't been able to do that consistently, and they did, but they lost. And here's the thing. The Rams, they lost a fumble in this game. They were 0 for 8 on third down. They missed a field goal. There's the lack of execution when it really mattered is what did them in. They were able to move up and down the field with relative ease for the most part, watching the game from what I did watch at least. But it doesn't matter. If you can't convert when it matters, you can't get the 3 points. You can't convert on third down. And you lose the football, you don't take care of it and commit a turnover, you're not going to win very many football games. Doesn't matter how good your offense is. If you can't convert, all that good stuff you're doing on the field, if you can't convert that into points, you're not going to win very many football games. But for Philly, what an insane game for them. Running the ground, Saquon Barkley, he should be in the MVP conversation. Like I said, he needs to be now. Definitely the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year at the very least at this point. There's really no much of an argument there right now. But I think I covered everything I need to do. With the Eagles, they are 7 games on a winning streak. They're the hottest team in the NFL right now. They have Baltimore next week. We'll talk about it here at the end of the show when we preview Week 13. But that game's going to be really, 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 really fun, I believe. If you're into running backs and ground and pound, running the rock, you're going to love this football game. We'll talk about it more later on. But next up, we got the Ravens. Here we go. The Ravens beating I have Eagles in the script. Who'd they beat? The Chargers. That's right. The Harbaugh Bowl. The Ravens beat the Chargers in LA 30-23. Both LA teams lost. They lost. Wow, that's an interesting thought. I just thought about that. Both LA teams lost back-to-back days. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Huh. Wow. But either way, the Ravens get a massive win in the Harbaugh Bowl, bouncing back after a tough loss in Pittsburgh. And the Chargers lost just a really, really tough game and just could not get it going in the second half. And the two big narratives, big takeaways from this game to me, first off was guts. John Harbaugh, the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, had guts. He went for it on fourth down 3 times on Monday night. 2 times in their own territory and 1 time on their own 16-yard line. This dude was a madman. He was a madman, and I expect nothing less from a guy who's coaching against his brother, Jim Harbaugh. That makes sense to me. And ultimately, that was one of the things that, gave them the edge to win. They scored 14 points off of going forward on fourth down. Those drives where they went for it on fourth down, they were able to get 14 points out of it, which is huge. That's absolutely huge, and goes to show that, going forward on fourth down and getting it, it's a huge momentum shifter for your offense and helps you push you forward in the right direction. But it wasn't just that. It was the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks put on a show. They didn't do anything spectacular. They weren't putting up these game-wrecking numbers. But here's the thing. The Ravens defensive line and the Chargers defensive line were getting after the quarterbacks. But here's the thing. Each quarterback evading defenders, making men miss, running for extra yards, and doing everything that you want the modern NFL quarterback to make. They were doing it all game long. No matter what blitzes were sent, no matter where it was coming from, both quarterbacks just evaded, dodged, and got into it and made plays, especially on third down. Both quarterbacks were very, very efficient on third down. And I guess we'll start here with the winning team with Lamar Jackson, 16-22, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 1. And just like with Jalen Hurts with Philly on Sunday night, didn't have to do too much. He was very efficient, very clean. Dave Flowers, 5 for 62, had a big 22-yard catch, had another 25-yard catch. Very, very productive day for him. Mark Andrews, 5 catches, 144 yards, had a beautiful touchdown catch, climbed the ladder, went over a defender's head, caught a pass. Rashad Bateman, huge 40-yard touchdown right before halftime. It was a huge play, running a vertical from the seam. I think was it seam or if it was an outside? I can't remember. But just ran a vertical route. Christian Fulton, the corner for the Chargers, was covering him. Got a draw to pass interference on him. And last second, just made an adjustment. Caught the ball in the end zone. Beautiful play from Rashad Bateman. But just like Philly, they won this game in the trenches. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 140 yards, 5.8 yards per carry. Didn't have a touchdown, but the backup, Justice Hill, did. Had a 51-yard touchdown run there in the fourth quarter that sealed it in. Well, obviously it sealed it in, but we got him up by 2 scores. Script is falling over again. In Baltimore, defensively, they got 4 sacks, and ultimately, that's the 2 things that won them the game. First off, like I said, the gutsy calls, going for it on fourth down, and then pass rush. I said it. Both teams were getting after their quarterbacks every single down. It felt like they dropped back to pass. The defensive lineman was running after them full speed, but the quarterbacks were making men miss. They were buying time in the pocket, running for extra yards. They were putting on a show. They were absolutely putting on a show. I said that. But here's the thing. Second half, the Chargers offensive line just could not hold up. Justin Herbert got sacked 4 times to Lamar Jackson getting sacked once. And that, along with the gutsy calls that John Harbaugh did, that's what did the Chargers in. Mainly. Wasn't just that, though. If I scroll down here, we'll start with the good. With the Chargers. Justin Herbert was really good, too. 21 of 36, 218 yards. Had a touchdown run at the first quarter on the opening drive of the game. Ladd McConkey, 6 catches for 83 yards. Good as always. Will Dissly, 4 catches for 47 yards. Will Dissly is having himself a year. He's not being anything spectacular, but he's become a really solid security blanket for Justin Herbert and this offense. The announcers, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, when they were talking about it during the game, Will Dissly, when he was with Seattle, he was more of an inline blocking tight end. He'd occasionally catch a pass here or there, and he's become a part of this passing offense for the Chargers. Everything's all about pushing shots down the field with Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey running everything down there. You have Joshua Palmer working in the slot. But now that they have a tight end, he's not, like I said, he's not doing anything flashy, doing anything great, but he is just becoming a very, very solid target for Justin Herbert to throw to. And he's at a point now where you got to prepare for it. You have to prepare for him to leak out into coverage. He's going to throw a chip out there, get out, catch a pass in the flat, run a little curl route, catch it over the middle, fall for a couple yards and get a first down. He was awesome in this game, I thought. Nothing flashy, nothing great, like I said, for the third time. I'm repeating myself a lot in this show, Jesus. But it's reliability. It's the dependability and the reliability that's making Will Dissly so good for this offense, because that's all you need. You need to just run the football well, just make quick, short passes, don't do anything crazy, take your deep shots when you can, just be calculated aggression, if that makes sense. And that's what we got from the Chargers all year long. They're a really good coach football team, very well disciplined. They execute really, 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 really well. And you can see, the success that Greg Roman is having over there in LA. You can really feel the old Baltimore Ravens DNA in their offense. I mean, he was the offensive coordinator there for years. Not for years, but there for a little while for Baltimore before Baltimore moved on to Todd Monken. But I mentioned the Chargers being able to execute, run the ball well, calculated aggression. That's the third thing that did them in, was running the football. J.K. Dobbins got hurt in this game. It was a knee injury, went down early second quarter, went to the locker room, didn't come back for the rest of the game. I hope he is okay. But he had 76 total yards from scrimmage in the first half. He had like 50-something rushing yards, had like 20 receiving yards, give or take. I can't remember the numbers exactly. But he was having himself a good day. And I think if he had stayed out there, the Chargers would have made it a little bit closer of a football game. But when he went out, the entire offense just died. It straight up died and slowed down. They had -6 rushing yards in the second half. Now, to be fair, I cut the game off with like 3 minutes to go, so I don't know if that changed. It probably did a little bit. But from, near the end of the game, 4 minutes left to go in the game, they had -6 rushing yards in the second half. And you're not going to win football games if you can't run the football. And let alone losing yards and getting negative yards throughout an entire second half. You're not going to win football games that way. And when J.K. Dobbins left, Gus Edwards and Hassan Haskins just could not pick up the slack. And it wasn't, now that I'm thinking about it too, it wasn't just them not being able to run the football. Lamar Jackson was able to chuck it downfield, the big touchdown to Rashad Bateman. Their deep shots were there. They could take shots down the field. The Chargers really couldn't do that. They were getting a lot of intermediate stuff. They were getting some outside out routes, whatnot. Like they were catching getting some chain moving plays, but nothing truly big and explosive. Quentin Johnston had a couple drops. Justin Herbert missed a couple key throws. One of them was open to Joshua Palmer, which would have been a touchdown, which they ended up losing by a touchdown, which would have tied the game ultimately when everything came down to it. But the miscues, the guts, the Ravens getting more sacks in the second half and really getting to Justin Herbert more and better. That's ultimately what did him in. And for a Harbaugh Bowl, it was a classic. It was honestly a really good game. I know it was like 30-16, right? Yeah, it was 30-16 at, with a little bit of time left. Chargers got like a late touchdown to end it, in garbage time. But I mean, at halftime, it was a really close game. Even in the second half, the Chargers were still in it. Despite the fact that they couldn't run the football, they were struggling to throw the football, they were still in it. Their defense was playing lights out for the most part, just trying to contain Derrick Henry. But you know what happens with Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter. Goes nuts, starts running on a rampage, and that's what happened. That did him in. And for Baltimore, it's a really good win for them. As I said, they bounced back after losing against Pittsburgh. They go to Philly next week, which is going to be probably a game of the year contender in my opinion. And for the Chargers, tough loss. Really good football team they went up against. And I talked about it a couple episodes ago. If the Chargers win, this will make them a legit playoff team. Now, are they a legit playoff team now that they've lost? At this point, you almost have to say yes by default because they're going to be in the playoffs. But I think the Chargers played really well on Monday night. They played really well. There's no denying that. And sure, the second half woes were unfortunate. And I did not expect that to get that from the Chargers, considering how well coached they are. But I mean, you were in it almost all the way. You were going toe for toe. You were going, well, yeah, you guys were going toe to toe, and they were in it. They were in it. And I thought, if they had gotten blown out in this game, I would tell you, okay, yeah, they're not a legit playoff team. They're almost there, but maybe they could pull off an upset in the wild card if they're really lucky. But no, they're going to be like a first wild card exit in the playoffs. But no, they played really well against Baltimore. They kept it close. They were in it. And does this mean they're going to be a legit playoff team and probably win a playoff game? Not sure, but definitely I didn't walk away from this game feeling discouraged by the Chargers' performance. You played a really good football team. The Ravens are a top 3 team in the AFC, so you knew you were getting what you were getting going against the Baltimore Ravens. But Chargers played well. Baltimore, big bounce back win for them. But that's enough recapping for Sunday night and Monday Night Football. We have to move to NFL Week 13. Forgot to do it on episode 24. But now, picking games, I am 116-64. That actually dropped down to a 64% pick rate, which is a little bit interesting. But then again, I was going on a tear there. Now I'm kicking instead of picking 10 plus, getting 10 plus right, I'm now getting 9-8 right. Still going pretty good. But for bye weeks, no teams have a bye week this week. Very interesting. But the other interesting part is it is Thanksgiving week. We don't just got 3 games on Thursday on Turkey Day. We got 3 big games on Turkey Day. Well, 1 big game, 2 games that I don't think are going to be very impressive. And we got to start with the second best of the 3 on Turkey Day. The Bears traveling to Detroit to face the Lions. I'm getting the Lions to win this game. If there's a team that's not the Eagles that's hot, it is the Detroit Lions. Here's the thing. This game is going to be fun to watch for one reason only. Look at how Chicago has played the last 2 weeks. They've played the Packers, the Vikings, both division rivals. Now you're going on the road to face the Detroit Lions. And considering how well the Bears have played these 2 teams the last 2 weeks, I have no reason to believe that it's not going to happen here. The Detroit Lions are a completely different animal than the Packers and the Vikings. There's no doubt about that. But Caleb Williams has put together 2 really good football games these past couple of weeks against good defenses too, mind you. And out of the big 3 in the division of the NFC North that are all ahead of Chicago, the Lions probably have the worst statistically. And in terms of talent, they probably have the worst. Of course, they still have a really good defense, so what do I know? But even then, I expect Caleb Williams to keep this game close for at least the majority of the game. Going into the third quarter, it should probably be like 24-17, like maybe going to halftime 24-17. The Lions offense, they're gonna have their way against this Bears defense. They're going to do what they need to do, and they're gonna do it well. But I expect Chicago's offense to heat up a little bit and, keep up the pace. And ultimately, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Lions are a better football team. Obviously, that's why I have them winning. But keep your eye on this game. Keep your eye on Caleb Williams because I expect him to have another good game. And I think if he does, I think you're going to feel even more confident about Caleb Williams moving forward for the rest of the year. He's becoming really fun to watch. He's playing very good football. He's throwing the football better than he's ever had so far this year, in my opinion. And we'll just have to see what happens. Moving on to the worst game out of the 3 on Turkey Day. The Giants traveling to Dallas to face the Cowboys. Another classic Cowboys Thanksgiving football game. And I got the Cowboys winning this game. They got a huge win last week against the Commanders. The Giants got blown out against Tampa. The Giants, they have quit. They have checked out. And, players are openly showing their disdain, not criticizing anybody, but they're showing that they are not happy. And when you look at it on the field, they just give up. They just gave up. Tampa got out of hand early. They quit. Now, you got a better opponent to go up against than Tampa. But look, here's the thing. If the Giants can contain the run, if they can contain the run and get after the Cowboys offensive line, if the theoretical strong part of their defensive line, if they can execute and do well against the Cowboys offensive line, I think they have a chance to win this game. It's very slim. It's not very likely, but there is an avenue here for the Giants to win. And offensively, if you're going to win, you're just going to have to play clean football. Hand the ball to Tyrone Tracy. Let him run the football well. Just create simple, easy passes to let Tommy DeVito, which I don't know if he's going to play. If that's the case, Drew Lock is going to play, which I think opens up your offense a little bit more. But for either quarterback, just create simple, safe completions, build off your running game, be strong with it. Get your playmakers into space. Get Neighbors into space. Get Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt. Get all these speed guys into space and let them run after the catch. Because here's the thing. The Cowboys defense is not very good. It wasn't very good last week, even though despite their victory against the Commanders, there's an avenue here for everything to click a little bit for the Giants and for them to win. It's slim, and I don't think it's going to happen, but there is an avenue for it to happen. And for the Cowboys, you just got to continue on what you did last week. Your offensive line just has to play better. Receiver-wise, CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Rush just have to keep on being connected, being linked together. And the running game, the offensive line, especially, you're just going to have to dominate the Giants' defensive line, which they've been susceptible to at times during this season. And Rico Dowell, give him the football. Let him build off of a good game that he had last week against Washington. If they can just continue what they did last week, defense, leave that alone. If offensively they can continue what they've been doing, I think they win this football game. It's not a high bar, but you upset the Commanders big time. You got an easier opponent here. It would be really nice for the Cowboys fans, for the players, for the coaches to get 2 wins in a row and move to 5-7. And I think that is ultimately what's going to happen. Cowboys are going to win this game. Gonna set up for just a second. I really need a new chair. I need a new chair because this one, like, it used to be able to raise up and raise down, but it doesn't anymore. It's broken, and I have to lean forward like this and like straighten my back completely if I want to get the best sound quality on my microphone, and that means I have no back support. I simply have no back support setting up like that. So just sitting like that for a second hurts. I'm getting there. Take a sip of water. All right, there we go. Nice little refresher. Let's get back into it. To our best game on Turkey Day. The Dolphins traveling to Green Bay to face the Packers. I have the Packers winning this game because obviously the temperature. I've talked about it. I don't trust the Dolphins in cold weather. But here's the thing. For the Dolphins, the weather conditions are already against them. But they have won 3 straight games now. And their offense is statistically playing the best it has all year long. And you're going up against your first good team you've really faced all year long. Or not all year long, but in this 3-game winning streak, going into the 4th game, this is by far your toughest matchup. This by far is your toughest matchup. You can't keep, let it be close with like it was with the Rams. And you're not going to blow out you're not going to blow out Green Bay like you did, with the Raiders and the Patriots. Well, I guess that's kind of redundant in that case. Yeah, the game's going to be close if they're going to want to win the game. But for Miami, you're just going to have to overcome the odds. You're simply going to have to overcome the odds. You're going up against a really good defense. You're going to have all your players, executing, playing at a high level in the snow, probably where it's going to be snowing, in the condition, in the elements, probably. And for the defense, you're just going to have to try and get turnovers. Jordan Love is turnover prone. If you can get some turnovers, get some takeaways, and win that turnover battle, you guys, or the Dolphins, you guys, whatever. You guys have a chance to win this game. And for Green Bay, theoretically, they should win this game easily because they run the football really well. They throw the ball decently well. The Dolphins defense is not that good. And considering you're at home, you're in prime time, it's going to be cold at least. If it's going to be snowing, I don't know. I don't check the weather for every game, of course. But it's going to be cold regardless. Talked about the Dolphins not doing well in the cold. This should be your game. This should be an easy game. But here's the thing. The Dolphins are hot. They have 3 games under their belt in a row. And there is a possibility for an upset here. I don't think it's likely, but I explained what has to happen. Offensively, you just have to play your best football, and defensively, you're just going to have to take advantage of Jordan Love's decision-making and just get some takeaways and win that turnover battle. But for the Packers, it's going to be hard to lose a turnover battle with Josh Jacobs playing as well as he's been playing. I expect Josh Jacobs to get the ball 25-plus times in this game, carry the rock a bunch, and let Jordan Love just take short, easy completions and just let him cook. Just let him cook. Don't overcook it. Just, you're not cooking a whole big feast over here, but Jordan Love, just cook you some eggs, cook you some bacon, cook you some sausage. It's a nice, simple, fulfilling meal. Well, in that case, it's breakfast, but a nice, simple meal that's going to satisfy you, that's not going to make you stuffed, not going to make you feel hungry and not feel full. You guys got to play a nice, clean, safe game, and I think the Packers, if they do that, will easily win this football game against the Dolphins. Next up on the list, we got a game that I'm not very happy about, and it's not because it's the Raiders or the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs to win. There's literally no scenario where the Raiders win. I'm sorry. Players are checked out. I'm not going to talk about it very much. But the big thing for this is that this is on Friday. This is a Black Friday game, and it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 o'clock on the afternoon on a Friday. I don't know who thought that scheduling this game at 3 o'clock was a good idea. Prime Video, okay, fine, because your Thursday Night Football, fine. You can get away with that now. But doing it at 3 o'clock, I expect the ratings for this game to be dog crap. I expect it to be bad, bad, bad. I don't get it. I don't get why the NFL can schedule such really good games and put them on the schedule and put them at the right spot, but then you get some bonkers bull crap like this where they're scheduling a football game at 3 o'clock. I don't know. Maybe they're geniuses because they thought the Chiefs and Raiders would be, where they are this year. And, well, the Chiefs are really good and the Raiders are really bad. So, hey, many people probably wouldn't watch it anyways. So, maybe I'm the crazy one here. But we'll just have to see. Obviously, like I said, the Chiefs are going to win this game. I literally have no scenario for how the Raiders can win. Unless, they just pull something out of a hat and just go nuts. Which is possible. I mean, look at the Panthers, but then again, the Panthers are fighting hard for their head coach, Dave Canales. They're still trying to win games. They're still fighting, and the Raiders, I don't know what the Raiders are doing over there in Las Vegas. I don't know. It feels like the players probably have more fun spending time in a slot machine than they would being on the field having to deal with Patrick Mahomes. Next up on our list, starting with Sunday's games, the Chargers going to Atlanta to face the Falcons. This is going to be an interesting game because I had the Falcons winning because they're at home. They're coming off of a bye week. They've had a little bit of a skid. Here's an opportunity. They got an opportunity to get healthy, get a little bit of a reset, and you're going up against a team that just suffered a very tough loss to the Chargers. And obviously, right now it's Tuesday, so we don't know what the injury report is looking like for any of these teams. But if J.K. Dobbins does not play here right now, if J.K. Dobbins does not play for the Chargers, the Falcons are most definitely winning this game. Most definitely. We saw what happened when J.K. Dobbins went out. This offense for LA fell apart. What they do best is running the football. If they cannot run the football, they are going to be having a long day in Atlanta. Not that their defense is great or anything, but it's going to make it a whole lot easier. And for Atlanta, you got a very tough task. Your offense, that's been mostly good this year, has had some hiccups, especially against good defenses. And the Chargers have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Despite the fact that they mostly got bullied and they got torched on the ground against the Ravens on Monday Night Football, the Falcons' offense has got their work cut out for them. And here's the thing. If the Chargers are going to win this game without J.K. Dobbins, their defense just has to play lights out. And along with that, the Falcons, offensively, they don't have a lot of depth, in my opinion. You have your talented guys. You have Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier running back, Drake London, Darnell Mooney at receiver, Kyle Pitts at tight end. You have good players, but behind that, there is not that much there. I talked about it before in previous losses for the Atlanta Falcons. When one of their starters goes out, for whether it's being subbed out or they go out with an unfortunate injury, the offense slows down. And for Atlanta, they cannot afford that. They're already been struggling. You're at home. You're on a bye week. This is a game the Falcons should win. If they have hopes of winning this division, they need to win this game because Tampa, while they were 4-6, they're now 5-6. They just blew out the New York Giants. They just blew them out. And scrolling down here, a little bit of a spoiler. I have them beating the Panthers. If the Falcons lose this game and the Bucs win, they're going to be tied for the division again. And the Falcons, they had an opportunity here to really assert themselves ahead in the division, kind of like what the Commanders did in the NFC East, and they started getting shaky, and before you know it, the Panthers, they seem like they're getting on some type of a roll. The Saints, they're on a small roll themselves. Tampa got a huge momentum shifting win coming off their bye against the Giants last week. The Falcons they absolutely cannot afford to lose this game to the Chargers. And I think they understand how much it means, what this game means to them, and how important this game is for their division and for winning it, which is why I have the Falcons winning this football game. But this is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be a good football game regardless. But the Falcons absolutely cannot afford to lose this game. Next up on our list, the Steelers traveling to Cincinnati to face the Bengals, 2 divisional games back-to-back for Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh wins this one as well. Defensively, they're good, but you got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You got T. Higgins now, who played really, really good the last time they played. You got your work cut out for you defensively for Pittsburgh, because while running the ball is going to be inconsistent, the Bengals are one of those few teams where even if they can't run the ball, they can still pass at a very, very high level. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are the best quarterback receiver duo in the NFL, arguably, despite their 4-7 record. And if Pittsburgh lets Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase carve them up, if this defense slacks off against this offense, they are going to lose this game. Because the thing is, the Bengals, well, I take that back. Well, I shouldn't take it back. But this game is, if the offense for the Bengals and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, if they go off against the Steelers defense, they're going to be in this game. This game's going to be a lot closer. The Steelers should handily win this game. Because the Steelers have a really good defense. They can shut down the run and make it harder to throw the football for the Bengals, although it really hasn't been that hard for them to throw the ball at all. But you make them one-dimensional, makes it easier to stop. And then for the Steelers offense, the Bengals defense is terrible. And I think the Steelers are going to run all over them. George Pickens is going to have 100 yards in this game, I think. So, that's really where it is. But the thing is, the Bengals have been able to stay in it. The Bengals have been able to stay in football games with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase alone. And against a divisional rival, anything can happen. Divisional rivalries are very good games almost all the time. I've talked about it before. I'm not going to elaborate myself again on why. But the Steelers, they should win this game handily. But if they let Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase do their thing and let the Bengals hang around, I don't know. Considering that Baltimore won, you really cannot afford to falter and drop this game and let them go back to you can't let them go back or be only ahead one game in the division or be tied. I can't remember if they're one game ahead or one game or 2 games ahead of the Ravens, but you can't let them catch up after their huge win on Monday night against the Chargers. So the Steelers, they're winning this game. They should win this game easily, but for the Bengals, there is an outlet and possibility for an upset if they can just keep hanging around. Next up on our list, the Houston Texans traveling to Jacksonville to face the Jaguars, 2 back-to-back division rivalry games. Here, Texans, they're winning this game. Look, you had a really bad loss to Tennessee last week, got upset. It was tough. Here's the thing. The Jaguars, they're one of the few teams in the NFL that are really bad. They have the number 1 overall pick in the draft, I think, or number 2. Probably number 1, I think, still. And another team where their team has just quit. They've quit. They've given up for the most part, especially defensively. Their defense is terrible. Very, very, very underwhelming. I thought this defensive line for them would be better. It simply has not been that good. And offensively, for Houston, they should be able to take over. They should be able to Joe Mixon should have a big bounce back game. I expect Nico Collins, Tank Dell, CJ Stroud to do what they do best. And there is a potential upset here though too. Why? Because the Texans, talked about it, the interior offensive line for them is bad. The technical, on paper, strong suit for the Jaguars defense is their defensive line. Eric Armstead, Javon Walker, Josh Hines-Allen, all those guys are there and they're talented. So the Texans' interior defensive line and their offensive line in general is going to have to step up and play better than they did against Tennessee. Because if they get caught with their pants down, this offensive line is going to be in for a long day if they're not prepared. And for Jacksonville, look, Brian Thomas Jr. has been very promising. If you can get him involved and you can get the running game to do something for you, then there's a real opportunity here for the Jaguars to upset the Texans. I don't think it's going to happen, and it's very slim. But there is an avenue here for this to happen. Considering that Tennessee just upset Houston, and they're 3-8, but they were 2-8, just like Jacksonville. At this point, with how the Houston season is gone, it's on the table. The odds of Jacksonville winning are greater than 0. They're not high, but they are greater than 0. And so Houston, for them, it should be a get-right game. But if they go in here not prepared to play Jacksonville, good, if they don't come in prepared and they think, this is going to be a get-right game, bounce back, and just ease their way into it, they might get caught with their pants down. And if the Texans find a way to lose this game against Jacksonville, we're going to have some problems. Houston's going to start, well, not me, but Houston is going to have some serious, serious problems. But they should theoretically win this game handily, and I think they will. It'll ultimately be a good right game for Houston. They're going to probably, like I said, handily beat them. Texans win that game. Moving on to the Cardinals at Minnesota to face the Vikings. Vikings are winning this game. I think they're the better football team all around. And I think it's because of the defense for the Vikings matching up well with the Cardinals offense. The Cardinals offense has been good for the most part of this year, but we saw last week against Seattle, they were shut down. James Conner could not run the football. Trey McBride was the only thing in the passing attack that was doing anything for the Cardinals. And now you're going up against the best rushing defense in the NFL in a secondary that is no slouch. Absolutely no slouch. And so for Arizona, you're going to have to find a way, try and find a way to get other playmakers involved, get the passing game going to build the running game off your passing game, not the other way around. And for Minnesota, offensively, the Cardinals defense has put together a couple of decent games here in this past month or so. It's not going to be a necessarily gimme win for them, but if you can get Justin Jefferson involved, if you can get your offensive players to perform well and just be at least minimally efficient, you win this game easily by 10 points, by a touchdown. But for Arizona, I've talked about it multiple times. There's an avenue for them to win here, but it's going to take a big time performance from Kyler Murray and this defense to defeat the Minnesota Vikings, which I don't think they're going to be able to do. Next up on our list, as you can tell, I'm sitting back a little bit. I'm going to take a sip of water. I apologize. My mouth is very dry. Currently 11 o'clock p.m. Our next game on the list, the Colts traveling to New England to face the Patriots. Patriots are winning this game. Why? The Colts defense, while they played well against Detroit last week, that's not a very high bar. It's not a super high bar. No, it's a low bar, high bar. I can't remember what context I'm using use the bar here. But considering how much Detroit's been destroying their opponents, allowing only 24 points and really challenging them was a plus, which if they can build on that, they can probably take advantage of the Patriots offense and rookie quarterback Drake May and possibly pull a game here. This is a 50-50. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be one-sided like most of these games on the list already. This one's 50-50 because the Patriots, offensively, if they can run the football well against a bad Colts defense, theoretically, that would be good for them. Drake May should be able to do some good things against them. And for the Patriots defense, you're going up against a quarterback in Anthony Richardson that fell back down to earth really, really hard. And it really feels like that game a couple weeks ago against the Jets was a fluke. It really feels like that game against the Jets was a fluke. And for Anthony Richardson, you can't let that happen. You cannot let the Patriots defense, which has been not very good outside of Christian Gonzalez, you cannot let them just break away passes. You cannot let them shut down the deep ball. You cannot let them they just can't let them take away your game. If you're Anthony Richardson, you have to just take whatever you can. Run the football, take easy completions, just rely on your playmakers to do what they do best. Just don't try and do too much. Do not don't be inaccurate. Don't make mistakes. Do not play into the Patriots' hands. Because offensively, they've been heating up. Nothing spectacular, but Drake May has been playing well. Running the football has been inconsistent, but against their defense, they're probably going to do much better than they did last week. The margin for error for the Colts is very, very thin, despite them technically being the better football team. I think the Colts are a better football team, but because of Anthony Richardson and not knowing what you're going to get out of him, I think the Patriots are going to win. I think Drake May has been putting some good football together so far since he became the starter, and their defense, you have an opportunity here against a very inconsistent quarterback to beat him and take advantage. It's going to be a close one, but I think the New England Patriots are going to pull that one out. Alrighty. How many games we got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 games to go. We are just over halfway there now. And we go with Seattle traveling to New York to face the Jets. Seahawks are winning this game. You get a very solid win against the Cardinals. Defensively, you shut down their offense. And I expect the Seahawks to do the same thing with the Jets offense. And it's sad because going into the year, looking at this schedule, I thought this was going to be a really good game. I thought that this game was going to be better. But no, the Jets, another team, the players have started to quit. They've started to give up. They're not happy. And the Jets are just a clown show. All of New York's football right now is just a clown show. And there is literally no direction for the Jets right now. Aaron Rodgers is playing mid. The running backs are just up and down, not consistent. You're not getting much that you thought you would get out of Garrett Wilson and then Devontae Adams. Now that you got him, he's been, up and down himself. And for the Seahawks, they're just a more consistent football team. They're the better football team. And I expect them to build off of what they did against the Cardinals. Defensively, you got a struggling offense. You go up against, you play disciplined. If you can play disciplined football against the Jets offense, you're going to beat them. Simply put, you're going to beat them. And offensively, for Seattle, the Jets defense is pretty good. But with the offense being as bad as it is, ultimately, eventually, this defense is going to break down. It is going to break down. You're slowly going to whittle it away. And if you can do that, you can beat the Jets, which is what I think they're going to do. Not much analysis there, but I think the Seahawks are going to easily beat the New York Jets. Next up on the list, the Tennessee Titans traveling to Washington to face the Commanders. Commanders are winning this game. You're back at home again. They were at home last week against the Cowboys, but you're at home. You're going up against a Tennessee Titans football team that is slowly heating up. They're pretty warm right now, but they're 3-8. They're 3-8. Their defense, as solid as it is, has struggled a lot against mobile quarterbacks. And there's no better mobile quarterback in the NFL, not named Lamar Jackson, than Jaden Daniels right now, in my opinion. Definitely up there. And I expect him to bounce back here. I expect him to run the football well. I expect him to take easy completions. I expect him to do what he needs to do to win. But you got to look out. You have to look out. Because the Tennessee Titans, they are fighting. They are playing hard. Their defense absolutely took over the game against Houston. And while the Commanders' offense is better, they've had their fair share of struggles. And if you let Tennessee hang around, you cannot let Tennessee hang around in this game. Because if on offense for the Commanders, if you let the Titans defense contain Jaden Daniels, if you let the Titans defense contain their top receivers, if you let the Titans defense hang around in this game and you allow the Titans offense, who's been really good these past 3 weeks, do some good things against a very lackluster Commanders defense, there's a potential upset brewing here. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Commanders are a much better football team, but there's an avenue here for Tennessee to win. You cannot let this team hang around. You cannot let them hang around, because if you let them hang around and you don't put them away early and quickly, the Titans are going to pull over and upset and they're going to win another game. The Titans are not a team you don't want to face right now, because they're fighting, they're going after it. And for the Commanders, you really need a bounce back win here. You have lost 3 straight games. And if you let Tennessee hang around and upset you and you lose 4, we might have a problem on our hands in Washington, D.C. Kind of like with the Falcons and the Chargers, the Commanders can absolutely not afford to lose this game. Absolutely not. At this point, if you lose against the Titans, the race for the division is over. It will be completely over. The Eagles are going to win it. There's no doubt about it. And they're still probably going to win in the end regardless. But if they want any chance of winning this division and, helping them secure a playoff berth, they need to win this game against a 3-8 Titans team, which they should beat, which is why I have them winning this football game. But keep your eye on this game, because it is very, very possible that the Titans keep it close. And they're moving on to the Bucs at the Carolina Panthers. I had the Bucs winning this game, but just like with the Titans and Commanders, the Bucs have to play well. The Panthers offense is also heating up. They are also playing really good football. They just went toe-to-toe with the Kansas City Chiefs last week. And this Bucs defense, sure, they went toe-to-toe with Mahomes. You got your work cut out for you going up against this Panthers offense right now as it stands. And most of the same analysis still applies here. The Bucs, they cannot afford to lose this game because they're trying to get back in the division. The Falcons, they've been struggling. They got coming off of a bye, going against the Chargers. I have them winning that game. And if you want to keep right with them, you're going to have to win against the Panthers. But the Panthers, like I said, they have been no slouch these past 3-4 weeks. So if you let yourself get complacent and think you're going up against the earlier season Bryce Young Carolina Panthers, you are going to get upset. It is very, very possible that happens. But if Tampa can just stay level-headed, stay disciplined, run the ball well, get the ball to Mike Evans, and just play good, complementary football on offense and defense, they're going to win this game. But if they don't execute and they let Carolina hang around, Carolina's going to come back and beat them. They're going to come back and beat them, upset them, and then next thing you know, we got absolute chaos in the NFC South. But for now, I think Tampa's the better football team, and they will win this football game, I believe. Moving on to the Rams at the New Orleans Saints. And the same philosophy here again for 3 straight games. I have the Rams winning, but you're going up against the Saints team that's won 2 straight games. They're kind of warm right now. And the Rams, they've been up and down, a little bit shaky. The 49ers, they lost. The Cardinals lost. And the Seahawks won. Right now, the NFC West is still wide open. It's been the narrative all year for that division about how close this division is between each other. What the discrepancy between the Seahawks and the 49ers is like 2 games. It's like a 2-game split. Technically 2.5 games because the Seahawks beat the 49ers, so they have that edge at the moment. But it's not that far off. And for the Rams, if they want their playoff hopes to stay alive, you're going to have to beat the New Orleans Saints, which is a team they should beat. I think the Rams are a better football team, and they're a better coached football team too. I like Sean McVay more than I like the Saints interim head coach. And defensively for the Rams, you have to stay disciplined going against Derek Carr and the Saints. The reason why the Saints have won 2 straight games offensively is because the defenses were not prepared, especially for Taysom Hill, who had a big game the last time the Saints played football. They have to just contain. They just have to play disciplined. They cannot let anything go over their head, because if this defense falters like it did against the Eagles, the Rams are going to lose this game. And if they lose this game, their playoff chances get that much more difficult. And for the Saints, you just got to try and keep doing what you've been doing the past couple of weeks. If you can do that and continue that momentum, you can win this game, go up to 5-7, and be one or two games behind Tampa and Atlanta. And with the Carolina Panthers heating up as well, the desire to win for New Orleans might be bigger than what I'm expecting. But the Rams, I think they're a better football team. I think they win this game. Next up, this is the best game of the week. Already kind of foreshadowed it before. Eagles traveling to Baltimore to face the Ravens. This is going to be a great football game. I am saying that with 150% confidence. If this game somehow isn't good, I would be legitimately shocked. Legitimately, I would be shocked if this isn't a good football game. But you have to watch Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. These two backs are the best two backs in the NFL, and after those two guys, it is a drop off of a cliff. These two guys are the best. They are the best of the best. They're in their own leagues right now. Saquon Barkley, I mentioned, having an MVP level of a season. Derrick Henry, he should be in that conversation too. These guys are neck and neck. And I think whoever runs for more yards in this game as a team, whoever runs for more yards, whoever is more efficient on third down, that is who's going to win this game. For Baltimore, you have to contain the penalties. The Ravens are one of the most penalized teams in the National Football League. You have to play discipline against Philly because their offensive line can bully your front seven if you let them. Offensively, you cannot let A.J. Brown torch Tre'Davious White. You cannot let Devontae Smith get open in the slot. You have to play discipline against Philly. If you get pass interference calls, you get holding calls. If you continue to stack penalties like they have been all year long, and they did a pretty decent job at it. Well, I shouldn't say decent job. They still allowed like 9 penalties against the Chargers on Monday. If you commit that many penalties against the Eagles, you are going to lose. You are going to lose this football game because the Eagles, they've been playing clean. They've been playing very solid. And for Baltimore, defensively, you have to try and contain Jalen Hurts. You have to try and contain him somehow, some way. The Rams did not do a good enough job at that. He didn't run for very many yards, but he got out of the pocket a lot, made throws on the run, and was able to just, get little chunk yards here and there and make it third and manageable. If you can slow down this offense and just play disciplined football, the Ravens can win this game. But I think the Eagles are going to win. They're the hotter team. They're the more consistent football team on offense and on defense. I think they win and get a huge win on the road in Baltimore. Second to last game on the list, 49ers traveling to Buffalo to face the Bills on Sunday Night Football, and the Bills are winning this football game. I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play. He didn't play against the Packers last week. I don't know what the injury is there. I think he's going to play. I'm pretty sure. I think it was like a little minor injury, little hiccup here and there. Either way, hope he's okay. But this is disappointing because I thought this game was going to be much better going into the year. But looking in retrospect, oh well. This game is not going to be as good as, what it was hyped to be when the schedule first came out. But I think the Bills win. I think the Bills are going to do their thing. They're going to roll over this 49ers defense a little bit. And offensively, you're just going to have to try and get something going more consistently. The 49ers offense, they're just going to have to get more out of Christian McCaffrey. You're going to have to get more out of Jordan Mason, get more out of Debo. These guys that have not been performing that well for them as of late. If you can get that if you can get all those players going, if this defense can just make a couple stops against Josh Allen, the 49ers can win. They're still a really well-coached football team. There's no doubt about that. The Bills have their work cut out for them, for sure. But right now, I think Buffalo is just better. I think they're well coached, better coached, and they're just rolling. They got that win against Kansas City. They're coming off a bye week. They're at home. I think there's no reason that the Bills should not win this football game. And we move on to the last game, Monday Night Football. The Cleveland Browns traveling to Denver to face the Broncos. I don't know how the Browns got 2 back-to-back primetime games, but here we are. Then again, the schedule makers don't know what the team's gonna be like before the year starts. But the Broncos, I think they're gonna win this game in Denver. It could be a snow game. Keep your eye on that. Ooh, this could be good, really, really good. But for Denver, Bo Nix has been playing really, really well. Very solid football. If you can continue that against the Browns defense, which has been up and down, mostly down, you can take advantage, do your thing there. I think they win just by off of that alone. And defensively for Cleveland, you're going up against Jameis Winston. This offense is very inconsistent. They can do good things, but that's not a very high bar. They can't do a lot of good things. They can't run the football well still. Wide receiver, they're not getting consistent production out of any of their guys. Jerry Jeudy's come along. He's getting there, so that's good for them. But outside of that, there really hasn't been that much more consistently. But hey, I mean, look what happened with the Browns last week. They fought hard against Pittsburgh. They're going to fight hard against Denver on Monday Night Football, but Denver's just a much better football team. I mean, they're really starting to assert themselves as a legitimate, well, not legitimate, but they're going to be a certified playoff team. And they win tonight. They move to 8 wins on the year. That's all I'm going to say is the Broncos are just 1 win away after that from carrying a winning season. But I think the Broncos are going to do it. I think they're just a much better football team. They're better coached. And over the day, I heard a rumor today that the Browns plan on keeping Deshaun Watson and the GM, head coach Kevin Stefanski, and bring in competition for Deshaun Watson in 2025. I think you're making a really bad decision. But hey, if that rumor is true, if that rumor is definitely true, for the teams at the top of the bad teams at the top of the draft that don't need a quarterback, or you're a bad team that needs to trade up to go get a quarterback, the Browns could be a trade option. They could be a trade down option here. I mean, they probably won't because they have a lot more holes on their roster, but that is a possibility. Like right now, like the number 1 overall pick, who knows who's going to have it? Because if the Jacksonville Jaguars end up finishing with the number 1 overall pick, I can almost guarantee they're going to trade down. I can almost guarantee you that they're going to trade down. Unless they take Travis Hunter, which they can use Travis Hunter. They need a corner. There you go. That actually fits pretty well, honestly. Especially, Travis Hunter's draft stock would increase if he wins the Heisman this year, which he's probably going to by default because he's Travis Hunter, although I believe it should go to Ashton Genty, in my opinion, the running back out of Boise State. But we're not talking about college. We're talking about the NFL. And concluding, Browns, I don't think they're beating Denver. Denver's winning on Monday Night Football. And with that being said, that is going to do it for me, guys. Real quick, one more thing I forgot to mention at the start of the show, but timestamps are back in now. I'm not entirely sure about recording it, how I'm going to do it. I think, honestly, I might just suck it up and just take the extra time and just scroll through the video, comb through it, find when I talk about each topic. I try to, as you can tell, I try to kind of stop talking and branch in between each segment. So when I look at the video, it shows me the audio file and shows all the waves and whatnot. So maybe look for the parts where it slows down a little bit, and then I can move on from there. But transcription softwares are kind of hard to find, and I could pay $250 for DaVinci Resolve to give me audio transcription, but I'm not spending $250 just yet, considering there's other things that I want to get done first. I want to spend money on first before that. But that is going to do it for me today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And also, do not forget to do whatever YouTuber tells you to do. You guys know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. It's free. If you guys just take 5 seconds, press a couple buttons, get me into the algorithm. It would help me out an absolute ton. And for spreading the word, share the video, guys. Tell it to your friends, tell it to your family. Get everybody locked in and locked on to the Shumake Take podcast, coming out with great content for you guys, recapping the games, previewing the games, coming out Monday and Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is going to do it for me today, guys. I'll see you guys next time.